So I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, August 11th, 2020 Wilmington Utility Board regular meeting to order. Approval of the minutes. We got the minutes from the regular meeting of July 13th. If there's no corrections, I'd like to have a motion to accept.
Move to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of July 13, 2020 as submitted.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve.
We lost JT's audio.
Yeah, we lost your audio, JT. Try it now, Mr. Straffus.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. I knew I'd get it. Okay. All right, so motion, did everybody approve the motion to approve the minutes? Okay.
Yes.
Public portion, was there anything, Jeff? Tim?
No, sir. Advanced comments were invited from the public and none have been received.
Okay. We'll move on to new business, the bid for Autumn Ridge.
Autumn Ridge is a residential, private residential development in the Airport Boulevard area off of the Mile Ground. Bids were received on August 6th. The low bidder is Orange Construction. We have a record of successful projects with them. They are the low bidder and we recommend approval of their bid.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion to approve that bid.
I move to approve the acceptance of the bid from an award of contract to Orange Construction for the Autumn Ridge Phase 2 Sanitary Sewer Project, contract number 7-2020, at a price of $151,090.75, authorizing the general manager to execute all documents related to said contract.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the acceptance of the bid from Orange Construction for the Autumn Ridge Phase 2 Sanitary Sewer Project. Any questions on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposals, so motion passes unanimously. Employee requests for unused vacation.
Yes, sir. Our employee handbook limits the rollover of unused vacation to no more than 5 days per year. So our employees get X number of days of vacation based on their years of service. And they can, if they do not use all of them, the employee handbook allows them to roll no more than 5 forward into the next year. But with the COVID pandemic, obviously, most of our employees' vacation plans have been disrupted to some degree. And the employees as a group have asked for a one-time exception to that limitation in the handbook. And management's recommendation is that that limitation be increased as a one-time exception this year to no more than 10 days. It really costs us nothing. And I think it's a nice accommodation to the employees for their service during this time.
Okay.
I move to approve a one-time blanket exception to the employee handbook, allowing the carryover of unused vacation benefit from the current 2020 calendar year to the 2021 calendar year to be increased from the normal limit of no more than 5 days to a temporary limit of no more than 10 days, and further confirming the authority of the general manager to make similar exceptions on a case-by-case basis.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the one-time blanket exception of the employee handbook for the carryover of vacation days. Questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Okay, bond ordinance and supplemental parameters.
Yes, sir.
Tim?
Recall that all bond issues are issued by the city in the name of the city. And for that reason, formal approval of these documents is not really technically necessary by the board, but we customarily do bring them to the board while city council is considering these items. It adds to greater transparency and better public notice, and the issue is actually being done at MUB's request. So that's the reason that we bring these items to you. Just as a reminder and an explanation, the Series 2020A bond issue that is proposed will refund and replace the Build America bonds that were issued as Series 2010A. This proposed refunding will produce a net annual savings of approximately $300,000 per year for MUB ratepayers. The ordinance itself in its current form lacks certain information, certain specifics of the bond issue. Those specifics won't be known until the bonds are actually delivered to the investor market. And that's the reason for the supplemental parameters resolution. The SPR, the supplemental resolution, will be delivered by bond counsel to city council later in a few weeks after the issue has been presented to the market, and those specifics are known at that time, and city council will approve those specifics then. So we're recommending approval by the board of both the bond ordinance and the form of the supplemental parameters resolution.
Tim, what's the interest rate? What do you anticipate?
We're estimating something in the 3% range. The market has recovered well. It was very volatile in March when COVID became such a factor, and all the markets were disrupted. But the interest rates have recovered nicely, and they're hovering in that 3% range.
I think it's also important to recognize the fact that by doing the refinancing, we are saving our ratepayers, who ultimately are the beneficiaries of our activities. And in this case, it's estimated $300,000, I believe, might be saved for ratepayers, the implications that we might have for any future rate increases of amount.
Yes, sir, that's exactly right. This 300,000 probably won't eliminate the need for a rate increase in the future, but it will definitely soften and reduce the degree of that rate increase. Yes, sir, you're absolutely correct.
So Tim, help me with the bond ordinance and the combined refunding revenue and all the work that the emails that we were looking at and all that relative to the ordinance, and has that all been resolved, or where are we at with that?
We believe we remain on the published schedule for this to be considered and passed by city council. It was already had first reading on August 4th. Yes, sir. It had first reading on August 4th. It's scheduled for the second reading on August 18th. And a public hearing on September 1st. And as far as we can determine, we remain on schedule for those dates.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion.
I move to approve the proposed bond ordinance for the combined utility refunding reserve bond series 2020A, and to approve the form of the related draft supplemental parameters resolution with copies of each to be included in the minutes of this meeting, and further authorizing the chairman, the secretary, and/or the general manager to execute all documents related thereto, with these actions being taken in support of the refunding of Bond Series 2010A.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the proposed bond ordinance for the combined utility refunding revenue bond series 2020A. Questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. We'll go on to the disclosure dissemination agreement.
Yes, sir. This agreement formally designates the firm Digital Assurance Certification LLC as the official disclosure dissemination agent for the refunding bond series 2020A. In that role, DAC will, on behalf of MUB, issue periodic financial updates and assurances to the bond holders. DAC already performs this role for us on prior bond issues, and this contract simply adds the proposed bond issue as an additional scope of work for them.
Okay. Need a motion there.
I move to approve.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Karen.
I move to approve the proposed disclosure dissemination agreement between MUB and Digital Assurance Certification LLC for the combined utility refunding revenue bond series 2020A, and further authorizing the chairman, the secretary, and/or the general manager to execute all documents related thereto, with these actions being taken in support of the refunding of bond series 2010A.
Second?
I second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve the proposed disclosure dissemination agent agreement between MUB and Digital Assurance Certification LLC for the revenue bonds 2020A refunding of the bond series 2010A. Questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Passes unanimously. Okay, that was quick. Old business updates.
Yes, sir. On the Koben Creek Reservoir, a second screen has been brought to the site now for the screening and sorting of soil. Placement of earth and fill for the dam continues. The degree of completion, percentage of completion has shown some improvement from previous months, and we expect that that will continue to ramp up now. Canal Stone is now 33% complete with the project. And Jim Fetty will provide you an updated video tour. So Jim, take it away.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, do you see the video?
Yes.
Okay, this is the Koben Dam Site. We're looking south. Behind us is I-68 to give you a reference. And there's quite a lot going on right now. If you look here to the right, they're making a lot of progress on the spillway, especially the spillway walls. Those are concrete. So they're making good headway on that. As Tim mentioned, the major thing that's going on right now is the placement of fill material. And if you follow my cursor, this is the center line of the dam. And this light brown material is significant because that is the start of the clay core material that the core of the dam will be constructed of. And here to the left, you see them putting some in. It's darker here because there's a higher moisture content as it goes down, but then it dries out to this lighter brown color. And one thing I'll point out here in the front, I have a picture that I'll show you later to give you a better view, but there's a crew, there's men here or workers here cleaning off. This is the bedrock, and that has to be very clean before they put the clay down so we get a good bond so we don't have any leaks later on.
Jim, this wall, this side of the dam, where would it be? What's the width of it, if you would? If if you show us the center line, where
I mean, across in this direction,
no, back towards 68.
how far away are we from 68?
No, I mean, the base of the dam, how wide, where would the base start?
Yeah, the tow
Here.
limit. Jim.
I'm sorry, yeah. Here you see the pipeline that's going to carry the water through the dam. And there's some more piping to be done right here, but the downstream toe of the slope will be in this area right here.
Okay,
And then the upstream toe of the slope, we'll go up there and look a little, make a better look at it. This pipe will be connected to this tower, and the upstream slope will be approximately in this area. If you remember, this is a temporary cofferdam for construction, and this will come out. So it's a fairly has a fairly big footprint because it's a massive structure, obviously. And one other thing I want to point out is we finished the grouting that was needed to be done before this fill material was placed. So that's done and out of their way. So there's really nothing to keep them from proceeding with the fill, which is an exciting thing.
Looks like there's a lot more people working on site now.
Yeah, they have ramped up production in a lot of ways. One thing I'll show you here is the camera turns to view it here to the right. This is borrow area A, just for designation. And they've stripped the topsoil off here, and you have a bulldozer that's pushing material down. This is the clay to an excavator that's loading it into the one of the screens. And then this is the good material. And you've got trucks and bulldozers, excavators and bulldozers loading the truck to bring it to the fill area. And on up here, we'll see another site. And here in the upper left, this is borrow area C. And there's the same operation up there producing the same material, the clay that we need. So that's the second screen. And they've got one of these screens running a double shift and one of them running one shift for now. So they're able to keep ahead of the material that they need for the fill process. And then you just see the upper end of the dam area, and roughly the tree line at this area will be the level of water when we're done. This earthwork in the front is not clay related. It's just, they're just doing some topsoil management or something there. And this is the back end. So
I know you told.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
How long will it take to fill the reservoir up once you dam?
Well, there's a schedule of fill. In other words, we can only fill it so fast. So it won't be how fast will the water come so we can fill it up. It will be a very slow, methodical fill, almost a foot at a time until we reach certain elevations, and then we'll have to stop and let that water set. And I think the total fill period, is roughly 70 to 80 days once it starts filling.
Okay.
But a summer like this would probably take longer, wouldn't it, as dry as it's been?
Yes. I want to show you one photo to give you. The video that I showed you, could you see that photograph?
Yes.
Yes.
The video that I showed you was from early last week, I believe. And this is a picture taken today. And The video was from right of the screen to left in this direction. And I'm now, this photograph is along the center line of the dam.
Mhm.
And this was the keyway that had the light brown dirt in it. And you can see they filled up this part of the core, and they're over here. Right here, they are cleaning the rock, and you can see how they bring a truckload in, dump it, the bulldozer spreads it out, the compactor rolls it. And this excavator and this broom, they're cleaning the rock to prepare to bring the dirt all the way over. So they've made a lot of good progress. And it's good to see this finally happening.
And we have an inspector out there all the time, right?
Yes, sir, we do. GD&F is our engineer, and we have a full-time inspector on site for all phases of the work. And also, the contractor is required to have a independent third party to do soil testing also. So we have a lot of folks there looking at what they're doing.
Very good.
Hey, thanks, Jim.
No problem.
Yes, thank you.
I'm just curious, what's the range of depth of the water once this is filled?
I think at the deepest point where we'll keep the water level, we're about 50 feet deep at that tower. But the top of the dam is another 20 feet or so as a freeboard. You wouldn't want to store water there. So about 50 feet will be the deepest part.
And then that will go back up that little valley to maybe 20 feet in depth? Is that what you're
Yeah, at
saying?
the upper end, it'll probably be shallower than that even, 10, 15 feet.
Will that 50 feet be sufficient to have any cold water fishery at the lower level of that?
That's not my area of expertise, but I'm sure that the pond or the lake will be big enough to have cold water areas in it, I'm sure. In the deeper areas.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Jim.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, it was really good, Jim.
Okay, Tim.
Continuing the report on the subject of the raw water line, recall that we have a little bit of length left to complete at the water treatment plant and the crossing of Don Knotts Boulevard. The contractor has notified us that they're scheduled to return. Their boring contractor is scheduled to return to Morgantown in mid to late August to begin that boring of Don Knotts Boulevard. That work will be done primarily from the water treatment plant side of Don Knotts, and it will not disrupt traffic. In fact, it probably won't even be visible from the roadway as you drive by. And then that boring will punch out on the White Park side of Don Knotts and connect to the existing pipeline that's been completed and is waiting there. Once that boring is done, then the pipeline contractor will mobilize a crew probably mid-September to complete the missing link of pipeline, conventional buried pipeline between that boring pit and the water treatment plant itself. And then lastly, on the subject of this, the dam and reservoir project, recall we have a compensatory mitigation project underway in Preston County on a stream called Fike Run, where we're doing a significant amount of natural stream restoration. Our contractor there is Reclaim LLC. They're about 26% complete now. There are two major legs of the stream that they need to work on. They're 89% completed on one of those two legs. It's about almost 1,800 feet long. And I believe Jim has a before and after video that he can show you for that work.
Okay, so confirm you can see the video?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we got the drone a little after we started, but this site here is Appalachian Lake up in Preston County. It was a privately owned lake with a dam that was built in the early 70s without any permitting. So the DEP was on the landowner to do upgrades. The landowner could not afford that, so they kind of hooked us up with him because they knew we needed to do some work like this. And this is before we started draining the lake, but before we did any removal of the dam. And you can tell where the lake was by the difference in color between the light grass and then the darker that was under the lake. And one thing I'll point out, if you look close, I hope you can see it, is this green meandering. We believe that's the original stream. And ideally, our stream will go back and follow that, and that will be part of the design. And so we'll show after video here in a second, you'll see how it's changed. But so this is the draining of the lake. It looks kind of messy, and it's our job to get all that cleaned up and a nice natural stream again. But this is what it was before we started. It's about 6,000 feet long or a little bit less. And the contractor, as Tim said, is making some good progress there. And this was all underwater, and it is following the old stream. So it was a good thing that was still there. It was a big help. And this is where the stream ended, and it went into some, kind of crazy looking streams that will be fixing part of that as well. So that was before.
Oh,
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess the good thing is this part of the stream we haven't started on yet. This is where the dam was, right where my cursor is, and that's been removed. And we had the contractor who did that temporarily seeded everything so we wouldn't have major ENS issues while we were waiting for the stream restoration work to be done. But you can see that the stream has, it's taken off, and although it's not ideal according to what we want to, where we want to end up ultimately, it still is a nice stream right now.
Mhm.
amazing.
Are there any beaver up there that might possibly decide to take over the stream?
Well, we found a couple old beaver dams, but we had our consultant look into it, and they were abandoned. There was no active beavers there,
Oh,
but there were older dams. You're starting to see the.
What's the
I'm
difference
sorry?
in time between your first picture where I saw you didn't have any trees to this one? How much time?
I want to say it's probably been almost a couple years now. Well, no, maybe a year. It's been a year.
It's amazing.
yeah, it really is.
To the left, this is a temporary construction road to get back, because the contractor started the furthest point upstream and is working his way down. And he's roughly at 1750 right now as far as how much work he's gotten done. And when you get up there, you'll see our disturbance, and it's just kind of necessary to do that to get what we want to do done up there.
I thought that was a state road for a minute.
No, that actually comes out when we're done.
Oh, wow.
And I'll try to get you to see a picture as well, but this part of the stream has been worked on, and you see these structures in the stream. Those are intentional construction that we've done. The natural stream designer, that will make the stream grow the way it should or develop the way it should. It helps with flooding, creates pools for wildlife and things like that. And this is the end of the project. We're bypass pumping the stream at times. That's what this is, an inflatable dam that we can stop the water and pump around it as we're doing this work, so the water's not on us.
Very interesting.
So
Yeah.
I did want to show one picture if I could. No, not that one. I'm sorry, I'm not able to get it up. I'm having some technical difficulties here. So it was a photo of the structures, a close-up photo, and I apologize for that, but I'm not able to get it up for some reason.
No problem. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate the use of the technology and the ability to use it, because some of the Zoom meetings I attend aren't even, you couldn't see any of this. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And it gives us a very unique perspective on these projects. It's really cool to have this technology. We're thankful that we have it.
Now, all the videos of the reservoir project, they're available on YouTube, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
They're available on Vimeo.
Oh,
I usually link off our Facebook page, but they're available online, yes.
Okay. Thanks again, Jim. That was great.
You're welcome.
Okay, Tim, where are we at here?
Still under old business.
Yeah,
Still in old
wastewater.
and moving on to the wastewater plant project at Star City. That contractor is making steady progress. They're 91% complete now. The major work that's underway or has recently been completed includes membrane performance testing. They're also now working on mechanical upgrades and updates to the existing primary clarifiers and existing activated sludge clarifiers. So we're updating existing prior portions of the plant so that they're equal in age and condition now to the newly constructed portions of the plant. That also includes upgrades to the existing aeration lines for the existing activated sludge basins. And we're doing a lot of electrical control work for the new digester. That new digester is that large concrete tower that you see standing beside the Star City Bridge, adjacent to the Mon River. None of this work really produces anything visibly new, easily seen. So we've not provided a video tonight for that work. So that concludes my report under old business, and I'll just move into the GM's report.
Sure.
Very briefly, COVID continues to be a major factor in our management. Our main office remains closed to the public. All work is being done. We're trying to minimize face-to-face interactions by using Zoom and telephone technology. Any meetings that must be performed in person are by appointment only. The financial impacts, I've given you a brief summary, and I'll run through that real quickly. We have begun now to receive some reimbursements of CARES funding through the government, the state government's grant portal. For the period of March and April, we requested $232,000 and we received $199,000. The primary difference there is that they will not pay for administrative time, for instance, my time or Jeff's time. And we have booked a significant amount of time, Jeff and I have, in managing all the different parts of COVID impacts on our operations, but those costs are not reimbursable. So 232 requested, 199 received. For the month of May, we requested $41,000 and received $30,000. The difference again being the same reason: administrative legal management time is not reimbursable. For June, we requested just under $3,000. That request is still pending. And July, just earlier this week, we requested $22,000 and that request is pending. So you can see you can see that our expenditures have tapered off dramatically from the first couple of months. They'll continue to bounce around in the low tens of thousands of dollars for the duration as we have to restock PPE and disinfectant supplies, but that's essentially the majority of it. We don't have a lot of labor at this time in the last 2 months, but if COVID infections increase, then there's the potential that our labor cost under emergency sick leave could escalate again, and then we might approach 6-digit numbers. But for the foreseeable future, we'll be in low 5-digit numbers.
As it relates to COVID testing, have you been able to establish some regular schedule of COVID testing of MUB employees?
We have not. We have testing performed on an as needed basis. And so that translates to if someone tells us that they're symptomatic or that they've been exposed, then of course we require testing at that point. But we do not have a regular schedule of testing for our employees.
Okay.
Babs? Yeah, the Babs, I think I've covered everything. I've given you the schedule of appearances before City Council. And then the last item I had was just to touch very briefly on the evaluation of candidates for my eventual replacement. That evaluation of candidates remains on schedule, and we hope to have someone on hand relatively soon. And that completes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tim. Board member issues. Anybody have anything they'd like to bring up to staff? Questions, comments?
I have an item I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. I participated in the hazardous waste recycling event that was co-sponsored by MUB and handled at the MUB site. And that was a very efficient hazardous waste pickup and recycling event. And kudos to the MUB staff for organizing that and participating.
Good.
Thank you. We have a lot of staff that volunteers to do that, and we thank them all. But Chris Dale gets the lion's share of the credit for that. He pulls that program together and he makes it better every year. So Chris, thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Barbara, will you?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Well, if not, then I think that's discussed that we move into executive session. So I think we need a formal motion for that.
We convene as as executive session of the Board of Directors under the provisions of the West Virginia Code 6-9A-4B2A to discuss matters related to personnel, and under the provisions of West Virginia Code 6-9A-4B12 to discuss matters related to litigation/legal issues, and further move that the August 11th, 2020 regular session of the Board of Directors be adjourned at the conclusion of the executive session.
Second.
Motion and second to convene executive session under the provisions of WV Code for reasons of personnel and or litigation legal issues. Questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, so we'll move into executive session, and I believe we'll just need Tim and Jeff to stick around for that. And we have to go to another Zoom meeting.